supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter.
Hello and welcome to the Dynamic Dog Owner, the podcast designed to support you, the dog parent, in your dog parenting journey. And this week we have the lovely Tash joining us again. You have your little monthly cameo, don't you?
I love it.
So today we're going to be talking about what you might expect and what you might actually have when you turn up to a dog training class, and why this might happen, might not happen. So this week kind of is a question to begin with. Have you ever been to a dog training class and the trainer has their dog there and their dog does absolutely everything perfectly, lovely, but it makes you feel like utter shit because yours doesn't? And it highlights that, you go, oh, I wish my dog acted like that. And it kind of makes you feel a bit rubbish. So it might do you think?
I think it can.
It can.
I think it depends what the topic is, doesn't it?
True. So we're going to talk about the whole, dog trainers having their dogs in class, how, why, what you might see, what you might not see, etc. So, have you been to classes where there've been pig trainers with their dogs there?
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
Have you been to classes where the trainer has not had the dog there?
Yeah, I've been to both.
Me too.
And both, I think, have been different topics, and both, I've enjoyed both. I think both, they've served different purposes.
Okay, expand upon that.
So, a lot of the classes I've been to, so I'd say a lot of the pet dog classes I've been to, trainers' dogs haven't been there.
Okay.
Some, I'm not going to say a lot because that would be wrong, some gundog classes I've been to, trainers' dogs have been there.
Okay.
Now, sometimes I think it can be really useful because I think depending on the topic, so like with gundog, for example, sometimes it's quite difficult to go, right, what we're going to work on is you're going to hunt, you're going to stop them, there's going to be this happen, then you're going to send them to that retrieve there, and you kind of go,
lots of information at once.
But
yeah,
watching it and going, see it, that's the end goal, know what you mean, and then breaking it down, I think can be useful.
Okay.
Sometimes it isn't.
Quite
simply, sometimes it isn't. So I think it really depends on what it is, and I think what the purpose of that dog being there is, because of course everybody does learn differently. So for some people, seeing it and going, okay, I get it, that's what I need to do, that's the end goal of what I'm trying to get to, can be really useful. And other times it can feel like they're there, what's the right term? Not to show off, that's not what I mean, but just to maybe show what their achievements are. Fair. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, no, I agree.
But I think it can be useful.
Absolutely, I agree. In some circumstances, it absolutely can be really useful. I agree with you. It's really useful if people are visual learners, or if you're trying to show something that's quite technical almost and needs that extra explanation.
And that's where I think the subject differs.
Yeah.
Because to me, something like a puppy class, I don't need a trainer to have a dog there to see what it is. That's not the purpose. The purpose, if I was a client, is you're focusing on me and my puppy.
Yeah.
Reactivity. You don't want another trainer's dog there for various reasons.
Yeah.
Whereas, as I say, I think for something that's more of an activity base, like, obviously I'm just using gundog as an example because it's what I personally do the most with my dogs. I think it can be useful, but I think a lot of the time it is a status thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It can be. Yeah. I think there's obviously, as we said, people learn differently. Some people need to see something to understand it. Mm-hmm. Some people need explanation. Mm-hmm. Some people just need to do it. We know there's so many different learning styles. So I think in a way it provides that extra layer of this is how to do it. We could go off on a little wild tangent with this. personally, I mean, let's talk. So much to think about. We teach, obviously, when we teach, we don't have our dogs with us, and that's kind of something we do across the board. But so we don't provide a visual necessarily. We do everything on explanation, and then some trainers would say, "Well, give me your dog, I'll show you." Personally, I don't like to do that. I don't like to take someone's dog and show them and demonstrate, even with a client's dog. So obviously, yeah, if you're bringing your own dog in, you have got that, look at my dog, isn't it lovely? And it can make other people go, one of two things: wow, that's what I aspire to do with my dog. Or, oh my God, my dog's never going to be able to do that. Equally, you put a lot of trust into your dog being a wonderful demo and actually doing exactly what you want in the moment on the stage effectively. You can guarantee that moment they're going to go, what? You've never taught me this? But I think the same kind of goes with if you're in a class and you use other people's dogs to demonstrate. Kind of bridges onto what we talked about in the podcast a couple of weeks ago about, well, I don't think it was an episode with you, I think it was just an episode with me, but how we trainers make it look easy because we know what we're doing. We know our half of the deal and the dogs don't. So sometimes, like, if you're in a class and your dog gets picked as like a demo dog for the trainer to show them the rest of the class how to do something, equally it can make you feel a little bit rubbish because your dog won't do it for you, then they magically go and do it for the trainer and you go, it's just me then, I'm the issue. Have you ever, I don't know, have you ever...
I get what you're saying. I think, again, coming down to learning styles, I think sometimes it can be useful because I have had clients that go, can you please just show me what you mean?
Yeah, definitely. And
so I think it depends on and I think you get a pretty good idea with
it really depends on the person.
I think it can sometimes be, I think it can be useful. But yes, sometimes it hinders more than helps. And I think
always two sides of the coin, isn't there? Always.
There is. And I think, you know, again, I've done a training class. I mean, this wasn't even demoing. You know, it came up on my memories actually 4 years ago. I had an evening where I had Rufus in class with me. I can't remember why. I think we might have been to the vets or something from one of his tests, and it just coincided with class.
Fair.
And it was members clubs, and he had separation anxiety. So he'd said to me, he can just be with you in class while you teach. And you know what he was like? He was good as gold. He would just bumble about on leave with me, sat there. But still, you find yourself, or I found myself, giving more focus to him than I should have been to what else was going on. So I think sometimes it's, you know, if I'm paying for something, I don't mind being demoed something because, like I say, sometimes I find it useful because I do find it useful seeing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think there's a difference between getting a dog out to do a quick demo and go this versus them being with you for an entire class makes a difference because you are paying for someone's attention on you effectively.
And I obviously, when Ren was little, he had obviously his separation issues. He had to teach alongside me when I had no one else to look after him. So back in the day when my kids were at school and life was a bit more normal and there was no one to look after him, he had to come to class with me. And he did stand by my feet and teach with me. Well, it was a very good practice and do nothing. And it worked for so long. And then he became a bit bored of just going, well, I don't really want to stand here and do nothing. And as you say, you know, clients were very understanding that, you know, he's got major issues. I need to just help him for a little while. And he did just stand by my side. And it was very useful to be able to bring him. But naturally, your attention starts wandering to your dog.
Yeah.
And you are kind of only giving your paying clients half the attention because your dog is taking your attention. And I think that's, I mean, I suppose it kind of boils down to that thing that we've talked about before, but I don't know about you, but I've always got a training head on. If I'm with my dogs, I've always got I want to make sure you're doing the right things. There's never, you don't turn it on or off, do you know what I mean? You don't say, oh, well, today we're not in class and I'm off the clock, so do what the hell you like. You've always got, I want the best for my dogs in the back of your mind. I do. So therefore, you can't just go, oh, well, my dog's just here, stood by my side, and I'll ignore them and give you all my attention.
No.
Because naturally, you do care about your dog, the interactions they're having.
Oh, of course.
What they're learning, etc.
Of course.
So, Yeah, agree. You know, if you're pulling them out, doing a demo, putting them away again, great. But personally, for me, having them with you all the time,
You know, like it was interesting. A few weeks ago, one of my Wednesday morning gundog classes, we had what had happened. A dummy had ended up in a far corner in the long grassy corner of the field. I can't remember how. It might have been a red kite that had dropped it. It might have been. I can't remember. Something happened, and or it couldn't be found. And it was the end of class, and they were like, "Do you want me to go and look for it?" And I was like, "No, do you know what? I'll just get Barney out. It will be good.
yeah,
You know, just good for him while you guys, you know, after you guys have left, it will be good for him to just go and have a little hunt and see if he can find it." And this particular client was like, "Oh, do you mind if I stay and watch and see, you know, sort of
what you do,
what you do?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, of course not." And he hunted and he found it, and lovely. And she was like, "That's lovely, thank you." She's like, "It's just nice to see sort of what we're working towards." So I think that's different versus, like you say, your dog is there constantly.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, I think also sometimes it does give that, "Oh, my dog doesn't do that."
Yeah.
Feeling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's so individual to the person, the dog, the situation, the class, etc. But I suppose the thing, thinking from from your client's point of view, obviously, yes, it can make you feel brilliant in terms of it can help you understand something and see it. It can make you feel a little bit inadequate because obviously the dog's put on a pedestal a little bit and showing them skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like when you go to like a show and you see a dog doing amazing stuff and you look at it in awe, going, "Wow, my dog would never do that." So you do naturally put a little bit elitist.
Yeah.
Put that dog on a pedestal. It's amazing. From our point of view, obviously from teaching, getting out and doing a demo, perfect. But teaching alongside your dog, it's hard to split your attention and give full. You know, to me, if I'm with a client, my client deserves my entire full attention.
Yeah.
And if I've got my dog with me, naturally I care about my dog's welfare and their learning and everything else. So I would naturally not give my client as much attention, not through any malice or any, intention, but just because I have my dog with me and they're very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore I want to look after them and sort them out. But I suppose if you're a person, like obviously we're all people,
if you're a person,
hopefully it's only people listening. The dogs might be taking it all in while you're watching this. But if you're a person who is looking for a class, what should you look for? Should you rate a class on whether the trainer has their dog with them or not?
I don't think so personally.
No, I don't. That's why we're talking about it.
I think it comes back to that status thing. And actually, to me, if I'm a paying client, and I do pay to go to a lot of places, 9 times out of 10, those clients I go to don't have their dogs with them.
Yeah.
And I would never judge where I'm going to based upon that fact, because 9 times out of 10, I've gone to that person because I know the qualifications they have, I know the successes that they've had, and that's why I've sought them out to go to them, not because they have their dog with them and I'm watching their dog.
No, exactly, yeah. So there's no sort of, what the word is, but there's no kind of credibility whether someone has their dog with them or doesn't have their dog with them. There's no credibility to say, well, they're better because their dog is with them. I think the only time it comes into its own, obviously, we're talking like a general training, one-to-ones, etc. You do often, especially with one-to-ones, and with groups, because you're looking at lots of people, you need to have your eye on the ball and be fully aware of all your clients. I think the only time, for me, I like to know that someone's dog can do it is if it's a discipline. So, like, for example, if you went to do agility and you wanted to get really, really good at agility and the person had never actually done agility with their own dog, or had only done, say, level 1 and you wanted to compete at level 3, naturally, they haven't got on the ground skill.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Which is why it almost comes back to my point earlier of, in a discipline like agility, gundog, hoop, whatever it might be, actually it's nice to see a trainer's dog do it, because you know the work they've put in, and you know that
they've worked through all the challenges. Yeah, totally.
So
yeah.
yeah,
And it's like with us, I hold my hands up. I personally don't like teaching hoopers. I will teach hoopers. If we are stuck and there's a hoopers class happening, I'll teach it. But I absolutely know my limits, and I know I can teach the basics. I can give you an introduction to it. It's not my expertise. I can only do the basics with my dogs, because none of them have taken to the sport itself. So we've never progressed on. But our scent detection classes, freaking love, because I've done it with my own dog and I do it with my own dog and we enjoy it. And, he does quite well at it. So we have worked through things. We have, perfected it ourselves. Therefore, we've done a lot of problem solving. And therefore, I love teaching it. But equally, I know I've worked through it myself. So I know how to get to a higher standard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the thing. Whereas general training, a lot of it is principle, isn't it? It's not about whether you've done it with your own dog or what your dog can do or can't do. It's general learning principles which can be applied to many situations.
Absolutely.
And even obviously we talk about, I don't know, pick an exercise. I don't know, what exercise could you pick? Say for example, a sit stay. Now if your dog, if your dog has a rubbish sit stay, that doesn't mean you can't teach someone else how to get an amazing sit stay.
No.
It just might mean that your dog's limitations or, what they're up against stops you from progressing in that activity, but you know exactly how to get it. It's just you're working at your dog's level, whereas someone else might work at a higher level.
Definitely.
And if, in a roundabout way, I think when your dog struggles with something, you actually get better at it.
Of course you do. It's the same with all of us, no matter what we do.
Yeah.
If it's easy, you don't learn as much from it as if it's harder and you have
to chip away at
problems
it.
to solve.
Yeah, no, totally. Like, thinking of sit stays, Fred's is shit, not gonna lie, because he doesn't have a lot of impulse control. We're working on it, and he's not motivated for training. He doesn't find it. He's just like, why am I doing this? Whereas Rem, he's like, yep, I can do this, no worries. Who was easiest? I mean, to be fair, we had to overcome quite a lot with Rem to get the sit stay because of his separation issues. It took about a year for him to be able to do like 4 steps away from me. But now it's epic. Fred has just been plodding along.
Bless
But
him.
I know, different levels, but I can still teach someone else exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends on the topic, what you're learning.
I think it does.
What you're teaching, what you're wanting to gain from it, and how the demonstration dog is used. But just because a trainer's dog can't do some things, it doesn't mean they can't teach you, because they still know the ideas behind it. But equally, as with anything, if you've lived, we've talked about this on the podcast before, if you've lived something and had that first-hand experience, naturally you have more experience in that topic.
Oh, 100%.
But it's how your dog's learnt it. You still need to be able to do it how someone else has learnt it at the same time. Because not every dog, Fred and Rem, not every dog has learnt something in the same way, at the same pace, at the same speed. So, yeah, basically that's why we don't teach with our dogs. We don't have our dogs with us generally as standard. None of our team do. We don't have our dogs with us when we teach because we want to, give our full attention to our clients. And we know we'd get distracted by our dogs because you naturally want to give them attention. And we don't need to show you how good our dogs are to be able to have credibility enough to teach you.
No.
Anything you want to add to that? Any thoughts? If I missed anything?
I don't think so.
Good.
No, I don't think so. I think it kind of covers everything. It's like you say, I think it's a personal preference at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It works for some and it doesn't work for others. And I think also being able to do something without your dog is also a testament to how well someone can actually explain what you're trying to do, as opposed to just go,
do this.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
And being able to break it down and explain it.
Much harder to explain it than just show someone.
Yeah.
But when you explain it, you really have to think about all the different steps and stages you go through to explain something.
Absolutely.
And, I know both obviously, we've had different experiences with our dogs, but there's some things that they just do.
Yep.
And they've always done. And then when you have to try and break it down, you go, oh, this is hard because my dogs just do it. So then
100%.
having to then break it down is actually quite hard.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to start thinking and have to start using your brain and not just go, well, this is what it looks like.
Or get another puppy.
Okay, get another puppy and try again. But yeah, from a listener's point of view, if you're looking at classes and you're like weighing up the options and somebody has their dog with them, you can see their dog doing all the exercises and somebody doesn't, it's not a metric to judge, basically. It's not a metric to say whether the class is good or not. It's just a thing to consider of. If they've got their dog with them, will they be giving them my full attention? Will they be able to explain it to me or not? And obviously if they haven't got their dog, do they actually know what they're doing? Yeah, of course they do, because you can look at social media proof, you can ask them questions, you can test their actual knowledge rather than just their training skill. Because, you know, we know it's very easy to train a dog if you know what you're doing.
Yep.
But it is really hard to explain it, how to do it.
100%.
You know, it's like with anything. Like random analogy here, but my father-in-law was putting a picture up for me last night, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to use a butcher's knot," because he was a butcher for years. And I went, "How do you do on them then?" And he went, "Well, you hold it like this. You do this, you do that, you do that." And I went, "Sorry." I was coming to teach me the skill, and he was like, "You just do this, do this, do this, do this." And I was like, "Okay, but how? Explain it to me." And he couldn't. He could do it really quickly because he's done it for years, but he couldn't then explain to me how to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's second nature for him to do, but he couldn't tell me how to do it.
I get that.
So it's teaching is actually the hard bit.
100%.
And explaining it. So yeah, weigh things up. You know, don't just judge a book by its cover. Don't just go, "Oh, their dogs, I've seen their dogs are amazing and they can do it, therefore I want to train with them." Think, how will they explain it to me? And if my dog doesn't do it easily, can they break it down and explain? But it's just something to consider, food for thought, because it's always good to, you know, these are questions we get sometimes, or people said, "Oh, I went to this class or did that." It's good to just look at things from different perspectives and, yeah, answer these questions, basically.
100%.
That's what we're here for. Hope that was useful. Any questions, give us a shout. Have a lovely week.
If you love listening to the podcast, why not check out the Pawcademy for practical dog training advice and how-to videos. The hub is broken down into sections and hundreds of pre-recorded videos are there for you to start watching whenever you choose. You can watch them back as many times as you like. You also get to talk to other community members and discuss your training and benefit from live Q&As with myself where you can get your questions answered. Why not make use of our 3-day free trial where you can access all of the content on the hub absolutely free for 3 days. The link is in the description below, so do check that out. And I can't wait to see you in the hub. Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.